What's up, guys? How's everyone doing today? It is Wednesday, June 10th, 8:15 a.m. I apologize. I set this scheduling up last night on my Instagram story and I miscalculated by an hour. So the initial scheduling was 7:15 a.m. I meant 8:15 a.m. We're here. I apologize if that hour messed you up. Got a lot to get into. We woke up this morning with pretty much the entire Eye of the Tiger card options on the Australian books. No props yet. So we're going to take a look at that. We're going to go over the tickets for UFC as well. Right now, if you guys check, for all you JSB insiders, check your Patreon and check the YouTube members' posts. I have posted one, two. I've posted 3 UFC tickets so far. So I posted a UFC triple, which is paying plus 106, a UFC knockout double, paying plus 121, and a UFC dog paying plus 138. And then after this live stream, I'll be posting our short parlay, our boxing short parlay. It's paying plus 133. So wherever you are in the world, I say thank you for tapping in. If you're not a subscriber yet, it's the easiest way to stay connected on these daily live streams. Just hit subscribe. Like this video as well. Yesterday, we peaked at 70 likes or 70 people in the live. And I think we only had like 40 likes. Just do me a service. I put a lot of work into this, just like the video. I appreciate it. And if you want access to our world famous betting community, it's a betting Discord. It's not just boxing, it's all pro sports. We have the NBA finals going on this week as we speak. The NBA channel yesterday was fun. Shout out to, I know some of the boys went really heavy on New York on the money line. My condolences. I didn't have a dog in the race. With the NBA games, I always just do props. Of course, I missed out on a plus 2,000 by 1 point. Who messed me up? The power forward for the Spurs. I needed him to score 10. He scored 9, of course. But it's all good. I only do like quarter unit bets, just sort of like entertainment betting. And speaking on the quarter unit bets, I'm only doing I there's that MVP card, and maybe I'll write. I know some of you guys asked me to write half unit, full unit, quarter unit when I'm posting my slips in the Patreon. I don't think I need to do that specifically, but I think I will communicate if I'm not betting a lot of money. So like the MVP card with the girl fights, I have some action on it. I'm not looking to double my money on the girl fights. I do feel though, and I stand by this, I feel that female boxing is a gold mine for bettors. It is a gold mine. We've seen this time and time again. Results speak for themselves. Week in and week out, fight with the women. You see, I mean, we're not talking about the highest level of skill, but we're not betting on we're not betting on skill. We're betting on outcomes. So we're at this stage of the game. We're seeing a lot of, I think, mismatches. Alif Turan, she is a point of contention in our Discord. Alif Turan 2 fights ago fought a girl named Beatrice Ferreira and knocked her out. Alif Turan's a 31-year-old fighter from Turkey with a high knockout to win ratio. When she knocked out Beatrice Ferreira, my Discord was acting like she was Artur Better Beef. Brutal fashion, right? She's aggressive, 5'7", punches hard. And then in her very next fight, the whole Discord picked her to knock out Taylor Getz, an Aussie. Now, for the sake of this story, I didn't have money. I didn't have action on either one of those fights. When Alif Turan stopped Beatrice, I didn't bet on it. When Alif fought Taylor Getz, I think that was her name, to a split decision victory, I didn't have action on it. I pay attention to the Discord, so I understand. And so people after the Beatrice Ferreira fight who are heralding her as the next Artur Better Beef, the female version, when she won a split decision and went kind of life and death with a girl, she pulled it away at the end. All of those same bettors who bet her to who won on her by knocking out Ferreira bet her to knock out Taylor, and now everybody was pissed. There was a meltdown. Everyone was, saying she sucked, blah, blah, blah. Those same bettors, those same exact people. Now, this weekend, she's fighting a girl named Tellez, who's a 19-year-old, who's 5'2", who has, I think, 18 or 19 pro rounds, who is a 4-1 underdog. And now everybody's saying that. What do you think they're saying? Everyone's saying that Elif Tehran's going to lose now. I don't look. All I'm saying is, with the female boxers, just bet accordingly. You know what I'm saying? If you're not having fun doing this, don't do it. This is fun. As you can tell, we have a really good time. This is fun. Boxing is the greatest sport on earth. Boxing gives us action every single week. Who am I to judge the quality? We're not. That's out of our control. My mom and dad were always like, Johnny, only worry about things in your control. This is when I was like 9 years old. And it's really served me as an adult regarding, I'm not really a guy to really stress about anything. I know that, what do I always say? Life is play. So from a boxing perspective, who am I to worry about matchmaking? It's out of our control. You know what is in our control? The effort we put into the film study, where we're putting our money, our reads. I woke up this morning with a message from one of our JSB insiders. He was like, rough weekend last week, which was, of all the picks that didn't hit, the one that I was scratching my head on was Josh Padley by knockout at plus 500. And I told him, I was like, look, and then I went on to list 4 different things on why it was worth a bet. The first reason was, I was like, I was on a heat check, was on fire. So plus 500, even if it was just a heat check, it was worth it. But it wasn't just that. I was like, Padley's 5 out of his last 7 wins were by stoppage or TKO. That's a great stat. You know what I'm saying? And then also with his stoppage is always in play. So I say that because it's not like we're just picking outcomes based on odds. I don't ever do that. I'm always going to give you reasons. I think that's important. Now, 8 minutes in, 30 of you in here, like the stream. I'm going to get to your questions. We're going to pull up all those the new fights. Big Shadow, 9 hours early. Crazy. Big Shadow's a beast. Shout out, new JSB Insider. Guys, become a member. I'm going to leave the link pinned in the comment section. I don't like talking about that stuff too much. What's up, Johnny? I was wondering what you think about Arizona refs and judges. Now, what's up, John? Our names are kind of similar. John STF. My name is JON STOFKO. So I don't know. I don't think that it is on the topic of getting a fair shout from judges or getting a fair shout from being a B side or an A side. I don't think it's a cut and dry thing that we're able to adopt a philosophy with each fight card. You know what I'm saying? Like, Eye of the Tiger, A sides tend to win. We just did some research in the Discord. The last time an A side, an Eye of the Tiger A side lost was in early December on a card in which, what's his name? I screenshot it for the boys. He went in as a 3-1 favorite. He lost to Hassini. It was a guy who lost to Hassini. It was Alexander Gaumont. So we know the Eye of the Tiger cards. It's pretty like 95%. That's a made up stat. Look into it. Over the last 7 months, it's definitely over 90, probably 90, over 90%. Because the only A side that lost was Alexander Gaumont to Ramadan Hassini. Since then, you could have just taken all the A sides, boom, bank it, that sort of thing. So that's a thing. That's not a theory. That's an actual thing. Top rank, very similar. You'll have your B sides every now and then, but unless it's like a knockout or if it's close on the cards, top rank guys are getting the A side treatment. That's a real thing. Arizona judges, I haven't picked up on anything. Maybe you could ask around the community. If you're in our Discord, ask that. We got some really smart guys in there. Maybe somebody picked up on something on that. I haven't seen anything or heard anything that Arizona is akin to Texas. We know Texas judges love Texas fighters. I don't know much about the Arizona Commission. Finding more value in UFC. What's up, Tipkin? Nice food video you posted on Insta. Made me hungry, boy. A cheese, dude. The cheesiest cheeseburgers. Tipkin is living in Russia as we speak. I think Tipkin's a Brit living in Russia, and he does these sort of like lifestyle vlogs. I like them. They're dope. I like that stuff. If you like travel, if you like cultural anthropology, how people live in other countries, follow Tipkin on Instagram. So the only reason those plays have come out early, it's Wednesday morning here. We have the boxing fights that start in 48 hours in Canada. My books just weren't offering those fights. Now they're going to slowly start offering. All my UFC plays are done. I got 3 UFC plays. There's only 7 fights, guys. I should also mention this isn't a traditional UFC card. Obviously, it's non-traditional because it's the first card on the White House lawn. But generally, a UFC fight card will have 12 fights. This one only has 7. So 3 of my tickets this week are UFC related. UFC triple, moneyline triple, UFC knockout prop. It's a double, and my dog. So the boxing tickets will come. I do have that short parlay that's paying plus 210 that I haven't shared yet, but I have action on that. And then I got to find a UFC dog. I don't like forcing the dogs. The UFC dog on the UFC or the underdog on the UFC, I like. As soon as I saw that fight made, I was like, if he's a dog, I'm jumping on him. And with boxing, last week we missed for the first time in 16 weeks. The week before we hit, but the week before that we didn't pick one. So if I like one, I'm going to take one. I don't like forcing it. There's going to be an underdog to hit this week. It's all about having that keen eye, being open-minded enough. Shout out to Barry Unboxing in our Discord. He does great analysis. I talk about him all the time. If you're on Twitter, which I'm not, if you're on Twitter, follow Barry Unboxing. I think that's his original modality of posting these analysis. He thinks Alif Turan is on upset alert. He gives you great reasoning for it. Check him out. He's really good at picking the dogs. Alley Points TV, what's good, play? Yeah, we're going to pull it. I think so. We're getting, I just got another fight on the Eye of the Tiger. I'll pull it up right now. All right. Thomas Chabot is a guy who's coming. I think Chabot's coming off a draw or a loss. But I'll pull this up. This is like a get back gift at $1.27. So I'm not getting props on the Eye of the Tiger. But if you take Chabot, I've already researched Chabot and Sempedro, his opponent. I'll show you the evidence in a second. Fendero, we've been just ride Fendero. The thing about these Eye of the Tiger fighters on these A-side fights in Canada, we've just been riding them up until they get to the world level, and then once they get to the world level, that's where they'll either be found out or like Albert Ramirez. He's an Eye of the Tiger fighter, but he's not a traditional French Canadian. He's a Venezuelan guy who cut his teeth in the domestic scene in Mexico, who then signed with Eye of the Tiger. Like Thomas Chabot, Fendero, John Orobio, Stephen Butler. These are all French Canadian guys. Mehmet Unal, we've been winning money on his knockout props. This is a Turkish boxer, kickboxing background, aggressive striker. So he comes over to boxing, high knockout to win ratio, way more skill. Think about like how Albert Ramirez, I think Mehmet Unal fights how, Albert Ramirez thinks he is. You know what I mean? Unal's a little bit more sharper, a little bit more skilled, just better technically all around and could crack. Those odds aren't worth playing, but over the last year and a half, we've been winning money with Mehmet Unal and the knockout prop. So put an asterisk by his name wherever you are in the world. If your book is offering the knockout prop, we got 48 hours for it to open up. That is a prop worth taking a look at, and I'm going to play it if I'm getting the offer at $1.05. Not really worth throwing on a parlay. So Layla Boudouin, yep, she fought. She's big. She's a big girl. I like $1.10. Look, these are like I'm doing a half. What I'm doing is a half unit safety net parlay, right? Half unit save Wilkins Matthew. People are gonna hate on Wilkins Matthew. Like I've realized in our Discord, and I didn't know this about him. And this is where I'll get better and I'll become more well-rounded as a sharp and just overall a guy who breaks down these fights. Is I have my eyes in the game on social media with all the Aussie fighters. I could tell you who they're training with. A lot of the American fighters, I could tell you what camps they're coming from, who their sparring partners are. But I didn't. The Eye of the Tiger A sides, like the guys in the Discord know about Wilkins Matthews being like an influencer. I didn't know that. They know about Wilkins Matthew as like he's like an OnlyFans manager. and he's like this. I know he's 20. I know him as the boxer. My point is, I like what I've seen so far from the 21-year-old. Some of the hate that he's getting in our Discord is because of his brand outside of the ring. Now that has nothing to do with me. I didn't know anything about that, but I found that interesting. I was like, Wilkins Matthews, he's he's been on record saying he makes 60 grand a month being an OnlyFans manager. I'm like, so you're a digital pimp? All right, player, you got the you been pimping since been pimping. I didn't know that, so it's good to know. So I like Matthew on there. He's going up against a Brazilian who's old. Bad matchup for Cal Esquivel. So right now, these four on a safety net are paying 84% return. I get messaged all the time. So if a few of you boys who lay low in the shadows, who have my my phone number, who message me, some of the you guys messaged me last week. Like my biggest wins last week were on these sort of tips. Sometimes, and these are the guys who tip me that you guys don't see. And I only shared it last week because my boy asked me to share it. He's in our Discord. He's a JSB insider. But there's a few of these big hitters that follow my channel who will text me week in and week out and say, "Hey Johnny, give me something." It's like a menu they order from. Johnny, give me 50%. Or what do you like for 60% return? What do you like for 70% return? And the best way to use these numbers, these guys are betting 10, 20, 30, 40, $50,000 on these fights. So I'll just break it down to denominations of $100 because it's easier, or $1,000. Is if somebody out there is betting and they want a 80% return, this four-legger, this Eye of the Tiger four-leg A side is paying 84% return. So Chabot, Fendero, Boudouin, Matthew, 84%. Now I do have a short parlay that I'm going to share with everybody that has these four on it, but because of my style online for the insiders, I only give plus money parlays. So for everybody who supports my channel, is in our community, they know that every ticket they get is going to be plus money. So I've added a leg to this. I've added a leaf. Now this is going to be controversial because some of the boys in the Discord think that she's on upset alert against Gabrielle, and that's fine. And I'm not here to argue your point. I'm not here to push back on your objective. I'm only here to show you where I have my money. And I think Alif Tehran, 5'7", 31-year-old big puncher. She was visibly not herself against Taylor Getze. She was on record saying her whole camp, I guess that fight week, she had she defended. She won by split decision in England. She fought with a 40-degree fever and illness. She had basically fluid in her lungs and pneumonia during fight week, and then during fight night a 40-degree fever. You could see it too, and she relies on her explosivity, her power, and her tank. You could see if you watch the Taylor Gensa fight. Taylor Genson fight, she wasn't her. She was flat. Still managed a split decision. I thought she did enough late. I'm expecting Alif Tehran to look herself and to Auntie Alif to teach the little teenager a lesson. So that's a plus money parlay. That's a 5-leg short parlay that pays plus 125. So I do have action on this. I'll be making it known after this live stream. Putting it on record, me. Okay, let me see where the boys are at. Bamba Gonzalez money line. Are we getting Bamba? I like that too. Yeah, I like Bamba at $1.53 here against Perez. We talked about this yesterday on the live, guys. If you missed our live yesterday, I went live with Julius. He's a JSB insider. We were talking about this fight. We were bringing it up. Before we move on, I want to show you Thomas Chabot. I think this is a. I think this is a layup. This is kind of, what do you want to call it? This is like a Eye of the Tiger gift. So this guy's never going to be a world champion. 12-1. He's coming off a loss though. He's coming off a close fight against Babineau. He lost an 8-rounder in which he got beat wide, right? This dude, it doesn't have a perfect record. He's on my A-side parlay. They're giving him a guy who in San Pedro is 13-2. But this is an Eye of the Tiger special in terms of an A side sort of. When you look at and they do have they do have their hands in that Mexico domestic scene. They bring a lot of their opponents from that Mexican domestic scene to fight their guys, and so they use it as like I don't want to call it like a minor leagues, but that's where they found Albert Ramirez. Okay, so this is the guy. He's a 3-1 dog, 26 years old, Mexican. On paper, it's like okay, 13-2, 7 knockouts. You look a little bit deeper. You look at his tape. I found a little bit of tape on him. He's fighting guys who are 0-8, 7-23, 0-8, 7-23, 6-21, 15-23, 0-5. His only fight against a guy with a winning record was a domestic guy at 125 who was 10-0, and he fought him to a majority draw. The tape isn't that good. This is a 10-rounder. This is a gift. So Chabot's on my short parlay. Sneaky gift. Thanks, Eye of the Tiger. We appreciate you. All right, guys, we're 22 minutes in. There's 52 of you in here. Just like the video, we're going to keep this going. Let's go. Excited for Bam. Yeah, so after I get off this live, I have to upload my Bam versus Vargas fight breakdown. So if you guys don't have notifications on my channel, just hit that. So what happens is when I do a scheduled and daily live stream, you'll get notified. And then when I upload one of my Stats Don't Lie videos, you'll get notified. The fight that I'm still 50-50 on, is obviously the rematch with Jordan Martinez and Popica. Because I think the element of surprise for Jordan, I think a lot of Jordan's success in that first fight was the element of surprise. Popica came out cold. He gets dropped early. Jordan Martinez's speed was on full display. And Popica was like, I'm talking about Arturo Cardenas. He was kind of like a deer in the headlights for the first half of that fight. The crowd, I wasn't expecting that crowd to be totally on the B side. So I'm expecting adjustments. And right now, Jordan is plus money. But after rewatching that the first fight and seeing how it was ending, and then revisiting the fight camp with Robert Garcia and seeing, Cardenas, looking at his social medias, I think I'm leaning Cardenas in the rematch. I think that he comes from a camp that could be able to negate that wave of speed early on with using his range and his timing and his feet. You don't have to, as you grow, as you increase levels in boxing and you're being matched with guys who are getting, on your level, you have to remove the ego element. You can't fight every guy the same way like you did when you were coming up through the domestic scene. And I feel this rematch, Cardenas will be the one to level up from what happened in the first fight. I also think Jordan Martinez's first fight was kind of like, I think that was, I don't know if he's going to be able to duplicate that. And even if he is able to replicate that performance, I think Cardenas should be able to make the proper adjustments to win on points. So right now I'm 60-40 leaning Popica on points. The fight to go the distance I like a lot. Let's see if we're getting odds. %90 return is nice. Oh yeah. This might be my prop. Cardenas on points is plus 170. Damn, I like that a lot. That might be my prop of the week. Let's see, fight to go the distance. Fight to go the distance, 172. I mean, it's a 10-rounder. 42% parlay play is nice. I mean, we could get fancy. Like, you could take this fight to go the distance at 42% return and parlay that with, let's see something here. Fight to go the distance, 42%. Let's see if we could parlay that to get plus money somewhere. Bro, what do you guys think about this? Bamba on the money line, paying plus 117. I don't mind that at all. Cardenas, Martinez to go the distance, Bamba on the money line, plus 117. I might jump on that. I'd like to know what you guys think. Even worse, she's 5 feet. I think Turan will reach. Yeah, so Turan versus Tejas. Yeah, Tejas is 5'2". Turan's 5'7". Power. I think the aunties will take us home. We've been winning a lot of money women's boxing, picking the aunties. Do you think Tiara Brown wins? I don't. What I'm gonna do for the boys, because we watch everything. We up. We. I told you the story last week. We up. Those two words that I always use on social media. It's a philosophy. Whether we win, we lose, wherever you are in life, we up. We'll always be up. You'll always be up. We up. So no matter what, that's the only way. I mean, we're only here for a short time. The opportunity to see, to breathe, to touch, to feel. We up, man. That's my philosophy. It's always been. Life is play. So with boxing, we get fights every week. I'm not going to bet the house on these females on the MVP card, but I'm going to get some little action. You know that. I saw Tiara Brown fight against Sky Nicholson. She blew me away, man. She was way better than I thought she was. She was crafty. Tiara Brown she's crafty in there. Tiara on points is probably the move. I'm going to just put a note. I'm going to ask the Discord real quick. Thoughts on this double? Cardenas versus Jordan to go the distance. Distance is $1.42 with Bamba money line is $1.53. If you're in the Discord, I just asked the group thoughts on the double. Cardenas versus Jordan, distance $1.42 with Bamba on money line $1.53. That pays plus 117. I really, of all the fights this week so far that I've looked into, I like that, man. It speaks to me. It's like, Johnny, what's up? I'm like, what's up, Leia? How you doing? I was like, we doing all right. Plus 117. Over Vargas, I'm in. Rodrigo, the thing with the Mehmet money line, though, it's only $1.05. I guess it's like, do you guys have a crypto wallet? If you have a crypto wallet, you would know what like crypto dust is. It's like dust. At least my crypto app, I use just the OG crypto.com. So keep it simple says he likes it. I think I'm going to make that live, guys. So if you're on this live, I'm doing it right now. I'm putting that. We'll call this is a live stream double. We'll call it. So we like Bamba on the money line. Cardenas Martinez to go the distance. Plus 117. All right, I made it live. I'll share it in the group. You know, guys, I'm always shoulder to shoulder with you boys. That's another thing about our community. Boxing's the best sport in the world, but our JSB community is the best community. We're out here digging in through wins and losses. We're like soldiers going through battle, old school, like 200 years ago on foot. We're out here, foot soldiers out here. Central Pat, Johnny, could you possibly do a stream with Breaking Bad for the UFC? That'd be dope. I'll message him right now. I know a couple of Nick's takes on Twitter went viral in our Discord. Yo, Nick, you free for a UFC live stream this week? All right, Pat. I messaged him. I'll let you know. If he gets back, I'll schedule it in. Stressing about the things that are out of control generally made me unwell. So glad I learned. Yes. Yeah, stress is literally, they call it the silent killer, guys. It's important for all of us to work on daily habits to mitigate stress, whether it's writing, My girlfriend's really artistic. So she's introverted, artistic. Her corporate life, she's runs her own company, very successful. To me, we're all different, but to me, the most attractive quality in a female is independence. Like I've always been, and I've always been fortunate enough to date women, not always, but a few, we'll say 95% of the girls I've dated as an adult are all very successful. Like they don't need me. And I find that really attractive. They don't need, like, when I say they don't need me, they're independent. That for me, a guy like me who's also independent, that's the most attractive quality for me. So on the surface, she's that, she's currently in meetings right now, doing her thing. But who she really is outside of that is she's introverted. So like when she's stressed, she reads or she draws. She's a sketch. She does like charcoal sketch. For me, I put a lot out there as well. I run my own businesses, but when I'm stressed, I have to run. I have to work out. I box. I'll shadow box. So the point is, whatever works for you, don't just allow the stress to bury you or consume you. Everybody has skills. Think about when you were a child, what your favorite thing to do was on your free time. When you're stressed, do that in some form or the other. That as an adult, that makes sense. Don't color on the wall. Color on a notepad. I rewatched Seren's last fight. She definitely won, but it was definitely ugly. She was sick though, bro. Bury him. Bury him. She was not well. Not well. And maybe people were underestimating Taylor Getson. The one thing I should say about Australian females, and you guys who watch female boxing, like all of us, is that, and this is coming from a strength and conditioning coach. When I moved here in 2013, one of the things I was most impressed with was how popular the Australian strength and conditioning community was. It's not just fitness down here. It's not just going to a gym, which is ultra popular, but S&C, strength and conditioning, the science of functional strength training. This was in 2013. So there's a class, there's a education you go through called the ASIC, the Australian Strength Institute, and you get certified in that, and then it allows you to, on paper, be able to work with athletes, pro athletes, fighters, normal people, etc., knowing how to do the science of fight camps, conditioning, etc. And so that's very popular down here, and that's what I do. When you look at an Australian female boxer, you could see it. The one thing a girl from Australia will always be in shape, and they're in like it's almost like that CrossFit shape, because they're doing powerlifting, they're deadlifting, they're pressing, and they're doing it in a program sequence of, when's my fight, when's my fight date? I have fight camp, so now I have to do a thing called periodization. I have to, working on one strength. If you take your one rep max on a deadlift or a back squat, which you've tested throughout the year, then you have to taper that down, and then you overload, and then you deload, and it's a whole science behind this. You could see it in their fitness. So Taylor, I'm pretty sure Taylor was an Aussie, and think about all the Aussie female boxing champions. They're always fit. The one thing about them is, from a strength and conditioning perspective, they're going to always be in shape. They're going to always be strong, and it could have been one of those things. But Elif Tehran was she had like pneumonia in that fight week. Watch her regular fights versus that one fight, and you can see it. She was flat. She was lethargic. She didn't have that extra gear. She still pulled it out though. So this is Baron's going with the teenager. I checked all that because in 23 there's legit been no upset. Yeah, the only upset. Thank you, Az. Thank you, Self-Made. Best community in the world, hands down. The smartest, most well-researched boxing community is the JSB community on in our Discord. The only upset I found was Alexander Gomont, and that was December when Gomont was a 3-1 against Hisseni Ramadan, and he just fell apart late. Ilya Tapora money line, Chama money line. Chama. That UFC card has me stressed. There's been an upset with Chabot. I got word that the Mason brothers are trying to outshow the Davis brothers. Are calling knockouts. What are you talking about? Abdullah? There was one dude on the Eye of the Tiger, I believe, who lost as a favorite that Johnny said to avoid betting on. Alexander Gomont. Yeah, it was Gomont. During your 4-month dog of the week streak, those were all boxing picks, or were a few MMA as well. There was 1 week where I didn't pick a boxing dog, and I picked an MMA dog because there wasn't any odds that I liked. Usually what I like to do, though, is if I see dogs on both, because as our community's growing, I've been covering MMA. I've watched every single UFC event since November 1993. I'm a massive MMA fan, but boxing is our bread and butter. So I still cover the sport MMA, and we have, as we grow our community, there's guys who just go to our Discord for the MMA chat. We have MMA sharps in there, and I've noticed that the MMA chat is a lot younger. And if you want to get a good laugh, because like I usually would on the weekend will just stay in the boxing chat, and the boxing chat, even like the back and forth is handled in a different way. The vocabulary. What I'm trying to say is, you go to the MMA chat during a UFC fight. I'm reading what they're saying. I'm like, do you guys speak to your mother like this? Like, you can tell these guys in the MMA, it's just a younger sport with younger fan base, which is fine. And I try, and I know during fight nights on the UFC, I'm as lenient as possible with moderating them, as long as nobody's getting too out of hand. Where we let a lot of the stuff slide during the fights. Yeah, I agree. I'm waiting for a knockout prop. McGann, a redemption week. Every day is redemption. Every day. We should never wake up. We should never wake up in the morning and think that we made it. I don't. Every day for me is redemption. It allows me to keep pushing forward with my life. We should always have little tiny goals every day. You don't ever want to sit there and be like, I made it. I ain't never make it. I ain't never arrived. That's my philosophy. I've never arrived. I'm trying to determine if Sugar will knock out the Canadian. He's fighting a really tough. He's fighting Amon Zahabi. Amon Zahabi is Firas Zahabi's brother. Amon Zahabi had, the UFC signs Amon, I think, when Amon was 30. I think Amon's 38 now, but he's a TriStar kid. TriStar is the camp that produced George St. Pierre, the camp that produced Rory McDonald. TriStar, Firas is only my age. Firas might be a year older than me. He's a savant in the realm of MMA coaching and MMA game planning. So Zahabi, I feel if Amon Zahabi wanted to grapple Sugar, he would. But Zahabi's found his most recent success with this fight winning streak he's on striking. He's a technical striker, but he could grapple. This is what they're known for, wrestling. So TriStar, he comes from great pedigree. I do have Sean O'Malley. I think Sean O'Malley's sniping from the outside and mixed with Zahabi's willingness to strike. Zahabi sometimes fights with a bit of an ego. I think O'Malley will be able to take advantage of that and hurt him. And so I like O'Malley on the money line. He's been dropped by older guys. Yeah, but Josie Aldo is one of the greatest fighters to ever live. And Chito Vera, as a striker, man, Chito Vera has a lot to deal with at that division. I do like Sean though. I do like Sean. Johnny, when you said pimping, I thought of Cat Williams' Money Mike at tennis. I was referring to How High with Mike Epps. And I told the story before. When I lived in Long Beach from 2004 to 2011, and I would play basketball at the LA Fitness on Cherry and Wardlow in a neighborhood called California Heights, which is kind of by the Long Beach airport heading towards Lakewood, off of Lakewood Boulevard. And I would train there and I would play ball there like 3 times a week. I met some characters there. I used to play ball with Nate Dogg, and I used to play ball with a dude named Scruncho. And Scruncho is a stand-up comic from Long Beach, and he played the assistant pimp in the movie How High. No one say that now, Netta, like you say now, Netta Potter. I don't even know what that shit means, but it sound good. And that's what I was. That always lives rent free in my head. Comedies from that era always just will just they're always there in my brain. That's the way my mind works. If I'm speaking, it triggers something. Johnny, since you started getting in the overs, I know. This is my first week, bro. This this is my first week. I did. Sent from Pet. Look at the tickets, bro. That was my first ticket. So right now for the JSB Insiders, if you look at our plays, the only boxing play that I have live is Bam versus Vargas, the over 5.5. My book didn't give me 3.5. So I took Bam Vargas to go over 5.5. I needed to make it into the sixth. I like Antonio Vargas. I got it at plus money too. Look, not every somebody brought up a great point. There's certain fighters when you look at their tape, they don't look great. People are like, yeah, when you look at Antonio Vargas hit the bag, he doesn't look good. Antonio Vargas is a legit world champ, mate. This is a guy that came through the American amateur system. This is a guy who grew with each fight. He's in his physical prime. He has one blemish other than the draw against Diego Higa. He came out cold in an 8-rounder 7 years ago when he was 21 years old and he got stopped, and that was about it. Other than that, he's picked himself back up and became a world champion at 118 pounds. This is Bam moving up. I think people are trying to judge Vargas's skill set and his pedigree off of him hitting the bag. I mean, look at Errol Spence train. Even in Errol's prime, Errol's training montage doesn't jump off the paper. It doesn't look great. Not all. My point is, not all fighters. Look at Sebastian train. Fedor is one of my favorite fighters. Fedor's train. It doesn't look great. Some guys do look great. Then you look at guys like Floyd train. Floyd looks great in the gym. You look at Shakur train. Shakur looks great in the gym. Even some of Bud Crawford's training montage work, later on in his career when he hired, I think I forget his name, his social media guy. His work doesn't, you can't, don't judge a guy off of their training montages with what they look like in the ring. What Vargas does really good, he has good power and he has good timing, and he has faith in his offense. Having faith in your offense and being able to mitigate distance. Now, yeah, Bam's footwork, Bam, some of Bam's most viral moments is that little skip step slide he does. He had a couple knockouts with that punch. But we've seen Bam hurt before. We've seen Bam dropped before. We've seen Bam have to pick himself up before at smaller weight classes. We've seen Bam get his jaw broken before at smaller weight classes. So I think Vargas at 13-1 dog is super disrespectful. I think this probably is like an 8-1, maybe 6-1. People are sleeping on Antonio Vargas. That's all I'm going to say. I like it. I've brought Antonio Vargas up on our channel multiple times. And I'm glad that it's Bam who's coming up to fight him for his belt at 118. Don't look past Vargas, man. Bam's already doing interviews. For the first time, I've seen a sort of, and this is probably the media's fault, a kink in Bam's focus. Bam's talking about fighting Takuma and Naoya Inoue. You better get past Vargas. You looking past Antonio Vargas, a really tough Mexican fighter who could punch, who's taller than you, longer than you, bigger than you, who's the world champion. You've never fought at this weight class before. You're going to be the smaller dude. I mean, you better not be looking past Antonio Vargas. That's all. It's boxing. We've seen this happen before. People think Vargas is just going to come and get pushed over. I don't think so. I think he's going to be tougher than people think. I'm banking on it. At least be as tough to get into the 7th round. Let's go. I like Bam 7-12, 143. I like that too. I like that too. I don't think we're going to have a one-round knockout situation. I don't usually play no plus money, but all phase on it. So win gives me 86. Perfect. So this self-made is one of these men who heavy hitter, heavy bankroll. This is the thing. I'm very interested to see the Mehmet Unal knockout prop. Because if we're getting the Unal knockout prop, and hopefully I didn't jump the gun early. We got Bomba on the money line, Cardenas and Martinez to go the distance. Those two together are plus 117. I mean, we could have thrown a sneaky. If Mehmet Unal knockout prop is $1.40 or more, you could sprinkle that and you're at plus 200 territory. Yeah, Teaz is young. She has 19. She has like 20 pro rounds. She's 5'2". I mean, Auntie Turan could crack. Auntie Alif could punch. Auntie Alif is legit, dude. Who's your favorite prospect? John Arobio on this specific card. I wouldn't really call Mehmet Unal a prospect. Mehmet Unal is 34 years old. Mehmet Unal is a legit contender at light heavy, right? Light heavy or cruiser. He's a contender. Prospect, you got to go the 21-year-old Wilkins Mati. My favorite prospect / contender now under the Eye of the Tiger banner is John Arobio. I've been high on Arobio for 2 years. He's still so young. That kid's aggression, his size, his physicality, his speed. Not every fighter has that sort of blood in the water killer instinct. Boy, if you've never seen Arobio fight, he just fought last week, so you're gonna have to wait a few months. John Arobio, put an asterisk by his name. When he sees you starting to wilt, boy, he pours it on. A little bit wild, but he can rein it in. Not the most accurate puncher, but he can rein it in. But his ferocity, his viciousness, his determination to get you out of there, you just don't see that all the time. What do you think of Moreno Fendora? Wins us money every time he fights. Moreno, look, guys. This side of me that you get, the side that the insiders know of me that you get. My number one goal, the reason why I'm here is to win us money, to pick accurate winners. My goal isn't this version. Now, off camera, my narrative about certain fighters will be a little bit different. If I'm, at the fight gym and I'm talking to a guy I just sparred, will be, the conversation won't be about gambling. A lot of guys don't even know, like, I don't even tell people like about like the crux of this. So my job isn't to sort of judge and dissect a fighter's potential. The only thing I have to do is judge and dissect a fighter's potential on fight week. This is why I don't look ahead. This is why I don't have the odds up of Lamont Roach versus Williams Cepeda. Lamont Roach versus Williams Cepeda is August 1st. It's June 10th. We are a channel and a community of what have you done for me lately? You're only as good and you're only as bad as your last bet. And what is in front of us? What's in front of us is June 10th, Wednesday. We have fights in 48 hours. I just need Moreno Fendora to be good on Friday. I just need Moreno Fendora to be good in 2 days and get us our victory. And up until this moment in his career, he's always done that for us. Johnny, do you analyze your bets overtime with the spreadsheet data? No, I have everything saved. It's not too nerdy. You'd be shocked. I'm a nerd though, dude. I write books. How much nerdier could you be than to be an author? Like, I used to have to hide my nerd from all my athlete teammates. But I'm a writer. I'm a reader. I write everything down. I'm more of a hands-on guy though. So I have I probably have 10 of these notebooks filled. I'm like an old school guy who writes. I write everything down. Martinez is now a matching fighter, and with the hometown crowd behind him, a crowd who felt he was robbed in the first one, they're going to feel like the third man in the ring on Saturday. Great fight. It was a great fight. Yeah, I think I'm taking the distance. Bro, he felt like the hometown fighter, and the crowd was with him in the first fight. The crowd was 100% behind him in the first fight. That first fight, rewatch. You're talking about Jordan. How is the Cardenas fight over 330 and the fight together in 250? Well, because if it gets stuck, if I don't know what over you're getting at minus 330, but if the over is 6.5, it's a 10-round fight, and the fight to go to the distance is 250. It could hit one or the other. They're not mutually exclusive. It could hit the over going into the 8th round, but if the fight gets stopped in the 8th, you're over hit, but the fight to go the distance didn't. So the odds are then sort of categorized in that small margin. Sup, Johnny? Really looking forward to the UFC this weekend. Lopez versus Garcia, same Pereira versus Gone in particular. Got it. Yeah, I like Kyle Dawkins. I've watched Kyle Dawkins in the regional scene before his first UFC run. He came out of that. I watched regional MMA, by the way. I'm that big of a nerd. Kyle Dawkins came out of that regional Boston, New England, Northeastern MMA scene, the same scene that Chris Weidman came out of a long time ago. It's the same scene that Uriah Hall came out of. So I knew who he was. He then gets signed to UFC. You know, they were matching him up. They were putting him on the same card with his older brother, and it was kind of a feel-good story. And then he won a few fights, lost a few fights, gets cut, goes back to the regional scene, went on a winning streak, gets signed, has a good win. And this is a really tough kid. He fought himself back into this fight. He's fighting at the White House. Bo Nickel's a motherfucker. Bro, Bo Nickel's a super athlete. I don't like that. That dude is an animal. I think he's going to steamroll Dawkins. I think his athleticism, his speed, his power, his explosivity. I don't think he's going to play around on the feet. I think he's going to know what he has to do to get the job done. This dude is a proud American. They're at the White House. Dawkins is a proud American. I think we're going to see the best Bo Nickel. Though I have Bo Nickel on a parlay. This kid's a super athlete, dude. If anything, Dawkins gets away. Dawkins butters his bread with his grittiness and his sort of awkwardness. He's long, but from an athletic perspective and a skill set perspective, Bo Nickel is one of the greatest U.S. amateur wrestlers ever, ever. And he's learning on the job. So I definitely like Nickel there. I currently don't have action on Pereira for his gone. It'll probably be a prop bet for me. And Steve Garcia is my dog of the week. Steve Mean Garcia. Love the streak he's on. Love his camp. Love the relationship he has with his pops. I like his length. I like his boxing. I like his aggression. And I remember watching Lopez, Brazilian kid, came to Mexico. I remember watching Lopez on the amateur, on the regional scene for the LFA. And Lopez is a guy, before he became a star in the UFC, was getting stopped in the LFA. I remember he got stomped in the LFA. And so I think Lopez's chin is a bit suspect. I think he thinks he's a little bit tougher than he really is in terms of durability. And he's flashy. He's the shiny toy in this matchup. Garcia really, really, really likes being the hammer. People are sleeping, bro. I love this fight. Dude. Eddie Berlanga just got signed to fight Stephen Butler. Bro, I absolutely love this fight. This is a fun fight, dude. Edgar Berlanga versus Butler. If you know who Berlanga is, but Stephen Butler is a guy who's been winning us money. Eye of the Tiger guy. Knockouts. Doesn't have a perfect record, but dude, this dude has been matched tough. Stephen Butler's a guy who went pro, I think, in his late teens, who, young father, married, doesn't have a perfect record, but a lot of those losses he has, it's due to his style. He's all electric. Stephen Butler is a throwback boxer in firefights. I'm interested to see what these odds will be. Someone's getting starched. My fault is because it's over 8.5. I think it goes the distance. Yeah. I think you're talking about Cardenas versus Martinez too. I like it too. Neither guy got. No, I think Arturo got dropped in the 3rd round or in the early. Didn't I think Jordan dropped Arturo early, but it was more of like a flash knockdown. I didn't hear about this. I think Fiziev is a better striker than Ilya. Two totally different strikers. Rafael Fiziev is a guy who cut his teeth at Tiger Muay Thai. Rafael Fiziev is more of a Thai striker. He's striking with a lot of spinning techniques. He's striking with his shoulders squared up, with his hips squared up. He's checking low kicks. He's checking things here, and he's trying to spin on you. Ilia Topuria is more of a bladed stance. Ilia Topuria is more of a boxing striker. Ilia Topuria is using feints that you never see in MMA. Look at the knockout sequence, the knockout setup against Charles Oliveira. Very. I put this up on my Instagram story. That knockout sequence against Charles in the middle of the ring was a complex MMA sequence for boxing, but very basic boxing knockout sequence. And Charles Oliveira showed his super low level boxing in that, trying to throw his backhand off of a jab and got knocked the hell out with a 1-2-3 combo. Ilia didn't do anything flashy with that setup. All he did was, from the orthodox position, middle of the ring, is he feints, he throws a jab to the body, or no, he goes up top first, feints, jab up top, level change, jab to the body, gets Oliveira to drop his guard, comes high guard with it, and just throws. When he throws the 1-2, when he throws his jab, Oliveira throws his right hand first without throwing a jab and gets knocked out. Oliveira did basically like a cardinal sin of boxing. You never want to throw your backhand blind in an exchange and with a guy in the wheelhouse, and that's what he did. He got knocked out cold. I was never high on you. Get these new MMA fans. This is what I have to deal with. A lot of MMA fans come and go. I remember when Charles Oliveira was a quitter. I remember watching Do Bronx at 145 against Max Holloway when he's up against. I remember when Oliveira, the knock on Oliveira is every time the lights were too bright, he would quit. And that was his narrative until he moves up to 55, gets married, has a kid, and then went on his run. But it's really hard for me to ever get past watching him get stopped, knocked out, quit early on in his UFC career. So I was never high on Do Bronx. I watched the whole thing. You know what I mean? So when he got knocked out against Ilia, I was like, of course, the fight IQ. Punching with Ilia there in the middle of the ring, not throwing a jab, middle of the octagon, throwing your backhand first. I'll pull it up. Ilia's support is, dude, Ilia's speed, his feints, his timing, his choice of weapons when he's striking with you, phenomenal. This is the White House claw. Let me remove this. Sammy Goodman versus Ramon Cardenas. This is a good fight. Watch. Watch Charles. Throws his right hand. Damn lag. Charles doesn't even throw his jab out there. Level change, jab up top. It's not. I'm going to try one more time. This lag is killing me. I don't know. You're not seeing it. Go to my Instagram story. You can slow it down. He did in boxing what you would never teach. He'd never go here and throw your cross. And when he throws his cross, boom. Beautiful timing on that. Vargas is my best friend. I never realized how mean some people are. Antonio? Antonio's my guy. Not saying you guys or you, Johnny, just the comments. Oh, I've been a fan. I've been talking about Antonio Vargas for years on my channel. I'm a fan of him. My last comment showed up in the chat, but not on the screen. Fresh BX. Did you hear about Vargas' mom passing around? I did in December and have 9 months layoff and had 2 long tournaments. Dude, Antonio Vargas is a champion. Great amateur. Always. This is a guy who operates mentally as a world champion. He is a world champion. Meaning that even before in order to become a champion in boxing, you have to have that mindset that you're already a world champion before nobody believes in you. You think that he's going to go into this fight? You think that he's not going to have a chip on his shoulder? Breaking Bad as Bam. Not, yeah. We know about some of his. He's going to come on. We're going to talk about it. Some of it. Breaking Bad has. He thrives off of hot reads. He's a hot read guy. He thrives off these hot. And, you know, he's a cowboy. He's a cowboy, which is fine. I could relate to it. John, yes, his mom did pass away, but he told his manager he was ready for Satsumi, but his manager put him in recess. It sucks, man. It's going to be the worst day of my life when my mom passes away. Love Rosie. Fazeeva's not better striker. Yeah, that's an insane statement. They're two different strikers. Way too. Fazeeva is way basic if we're comparing it to Ilya. Diego Lopez and Garcia's a firefight. Lopez has a granite chin. Garcia's chin is questionable. Go to the LFA. I've seen Diego Lopez stopped multiple times. Are you betting Arturo Cardenas? I'm taking Cardenas versus Jordan Martinez to go the distance. This UFC at White House has staged it. Oh, don't say that. To justify Trump's legal war. Leave politics out of our show. Come on, big dog. Leave politics out of our show. I would be surprised if this goes under 5.5. I would be same. Gary put belt to your ass last week. Maybe stick to being a gym bro. Just kidding. Gary's over. If he wants a mutant. I'm not a gym bro. What are you talking about? I'm older than Gary. I'm a coach and I appreciate you, mutant. Yeah, Gary's ego's insane. Belt to ass. What do you mean? Last week, Gary. Firstly, I've never seen one of Gary's tickets. If we want to start there, I've never seen one of Gary's tickets. I've never seen Gary. Has he ever had a loss? He's undefeated, isn't he? That's what we say. Gary's never lost. I've never seen him lose. But the only fight that I took Kenneth Lover against a 29-year-old prospect, Angeletti. Lover dropped Angeletti early and lost a split decision. So if that's the case, I'm fine with it. Nobody's 100%. Like the people here know that we just operate a little bit differently. Call me a gym bro. Of all the things you can call me, the gym bro is the most offensive thing. I take pride in not. I built my own gym in my house, so I don't have to go in public and train. We're getting props for Wilkins cards. I would love Wilkins Fedora knockout. Sent from Pet. We're doing another Eye of the Tiger knockout. Let's go. You know I smashed the distance on Bam. Ooh, let's go, brother. This is you just told me yesterday your name, Willie. You're Willie in our chat? Or you told me last time on the live stream your name in our chat is different from it might be Wiley. The interviews confirmed it to me. You can't be talking about yeah. Bro, they're talking about I gotta be honest with you. I'm a Bam guy. I'm an Antonio Vargas guy. We're boxing guys. All of us. I think as winning consistently in this game, you can't be a fan of a fighter. You can't be betting with your heart. You have to bet with your wallet. So you have to be able to criticize every fighter. We can't be captured by a cult. Like one of the boys brought up politics earlier. My biggest issue with politics, which a countless list, it's just a dirty game. I mean, what kid ever grew up wanting to be a politician? You know what I'm saying? It's like nobody grows up wanting to be a politician. Sociopaths. Is the issue with one side or the other, or whichever side of the aisle you're on politically, is you can't talk bad about whatever side you're on. That's a call. If you can't criticize your leaders, if you can't criticize your fighters, if you can't criticize your politicians, if you can't criticize, you're not in an open thinking community. You're in a cult. You have to be able to criticize. So from a betting perspective, even though I'm a fan of Bam, I have to be able to criticize him. It's the first time I've seen him doing media that he was. It's a dangerous game to play at the world level, no matter how good you are, to look past an opponent. We have in boxing, we see this happen. We have so many instances of this happening. Broner, Maidana, Tyson, Buster. Those are just two right off jump. Those are the two famous ones. You can't look past any opponent. Hearing Bam not talk about Antonio, but talk about Takuna Inoue, and then fighting the brothers, I was like, what? Now, I don't know how much of that was a softball served up media sort of thing. That probably, you know what I mean? And he's just answering questions. And then that's the way it was. That's probably what, and it was fed to us that way. You still got to talk about it. Hopefully, we can run a higher underdog. What's up, Jerry? We're going to come back, brother. 4 months in a row, bro. Like, 4 months in a row is insane. Youngin, Australia, Sydney in the house. What's up, playa? I really like this fight. I'm torn. Jai Tugger versus Yodi Cedeno. We've been making a lot of money with both guys over their careers. Fun fight. This is one of those fights that are great for boxing. I don't have a read yet. I don't have a read yet. They were saying Berlanga will be a heavy favorite. If so, bro, Berlanga versus Stephen Butler, man. I like the fight. That is a fun fight. No distance, knockout, and why not play Stephen Butler? The thing about Berlanga, though, he does have more seasoning than Butler in terms of like boxing. But Butler could punch, and Berlanga doesn't have the highest of fight IQs. Both are desperate. They're desperate for different reasons. Butler is desperate to be on the world level. Butler is desperate, for the credibility and the adoration of boxing, and Berlanga is desperate for a W. Berlanga is desperate to remove the ghosts of Hamza Shiraz. I like how Stephen Butler has been growing into his offense. I like how Stephen Butler has been sort of catching up mentally to his pros and cons as a fighter. At this stage of the game of Stephen Butler's career, you got to double down on what you're good at. At this stage of the game, it's really tough to, this is an awful cliche, teach an old dog new tricks. But, when you're here in your career, double down on your strengths. Double down on your strengths. Your career is a small amount of time. It's good to work on your weaknesses. But when the weaknesses are so blaring in something that is such as like getting hit clean or defensive setups or not feinting or not having speed going side to side, focus on your power and focus on your in and out, your lateral movement, focus on your foot feints, focus on your body punching, and set that backhand up. You know what I'm saying? Vaughn, Marab, Ilya, top 3 favorites. Yeah, Josh Van. How do you not like Josh Van? Myanmar in the house. You ain't gone. Stand up. Lopez has been knocking. I'm excited for Ruffy fight, especially since Chandler been working hard. I always laugh when I think of Michael Chandler. I don't know why, because there's Michael Chandler, man. He's such an OG. I remember watching Michael Chandler train down at Sanford MMA like 10 years ago. Shout out to my boy Dr. Corey Peacock. Dr. Corey Peacock he's a professor at Nova Southeastern University. He's a strength and conditioning savant. He's an exercise scientist, and he's been the strength coach for the team that started as the Black Zillions. Old school Black Zillions with Michael Johnson, Kamaru Usman. I think Danny Hot Chocolate was down there at one time. Abel Trujillo was down there early days. And so then the Black Zillions turned into, they had a bunch of names. Black Zillions, Sanford MMA, who knows what they're called now. But I remember Chandler's strength and conditioning. Like, this guy's an animal. No one's outworking him. But we know Chandler likes to strike. We know he likes to mix it up. Chandler likes to put on a show. He just makes me laugh, dude. Because when you think about somebody who just like the atypical ego fighter, that's Michael Chandler. And it's just funny because, what a time to be alive in this timeline of humanity. We get, this is what we get to do. This is what we get to do. This is fucking amazing. We get to fight and prize fight and break down fights and win money or lose money on fighting. This is fucking the best timeline of all time to be alive in humanity. It's amazing. And so, like, there's this meme that always makes me crack up on Instagram, and it's like, I forget it's like that scene out of a movie with William Dafoe and Christian Bale, and they're at like a nightclub, and it's like, I don't know what movie it's from. and they're all dancing, and Christian Bale's looking at him, and he's dressed in kind of a suit, and William Dafoe, long hair, looking at him, and the meme says, "Me in hell, trying to explain what an 8 ball of cocaine and a Las Vegas parlay is to a guy who got his hand cut off in the 8th century for stealing bread and drowned underwater with chains." Something like that meme. And it's like the music's going, they're at the nightclub, William Dafoe. Anyway, that's when I think of Michael Chandler. This is how crazy my mind works. When I think of Michael Chandler, my mind ends up going there. I don't know why. Talk about an ego fighter, dude. He's hilarious. Garcia's been knocked out cold a few times. Lopez has been finished on the ground. Showed his durability. Look at the Gene Silva fight, not to mention. Okay. Good read, boss. Good luck with it, brother. Jordan, I like Garcia's boxing. I like his length. I like his power. I like his backing. I like his timing. I think he could lure Diego Lopez into his sort of fight. I don't think Diego Lopez has the highest of fight IQs. I question his durability. He's, we're going to see. He could either make it look really easy or he could get stopped. And I think Steve Garcia, with his winning streak, his style, his confidence, the ego that he fights with, I think him at plus money is a great underdog. Great underdog. 100%. Jordan Martinez, Arturo Cardenas. I'm taking that fight to go the distance at $1.46, paired with Bomba on the money line at plus 117. So the action I have with Jordan and Popica, the rematch, is the fight to go the distance, parlayed with Bomba on the money line, giving us a plus money double. The media play it that way. Yeah, I see the floor. Yeah, I figured it was the case. Talking about Bam. Guys, I got to wrap it up. You guys are the best. 9:30 in the morning. We've been live for an hour and 12 minutes. Hit notifications on the channel. I'm going to be uploading some Stats Don't Lie videos for the boys, some film study and predictions. I'm also going to be doing another live stream. We got fights in 2 days. You guys are the best community. Boxing, the greatest sport on earth. Never forget that. I'll see you guys soon.